Welcome to the Travel Business Unpacked, where passion meets possibility. Here's your host, Meredith Calloway.
Hello, and welcome to the Travel Business Unpacked podcast. I am your host, Meredith Calloway. And on today's episode, my guest, Bryant Wood, is founder of the Travel Boutique. You can find her website at www.thetravelboutique.net. Actually, I think there's no "the" in it. Travelboutique.net.
No, it is the travelboutique.net.
Oh, it is. Okay, so there we go.
Yep.
I had it right the first time.
Okay.
But Bryant is a fantastic advisor in our community. She represents a lot of things that people who are listening to the podcast are interested in learning about. She is a mom. She is a serial entrepreneur. So we're going to unpack her journey today in this episode and learn all about how she built a very successful, thriving business selling travel and around her passion for travel. So welcome to the podcast, Bryant. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
So fun to have you. So first and foremost, you are, like I said, a serial entrepreneur. This is not your first rodeo in the entrepreneurial world. Tell us a little bit about your other entrepreneurial ventures and how it led you to here.
Yes. Well, it's funny because my parents were entrepreneurs and I grew up not wanting to be an entrepreneur. I never actually dreamt of that, which is funny. Not that I looked up to them, but it just never crossed my mind to go down that path. I always wanted to be a teacher. And so I grew up, going down the path of education and became a teacher and got my master's in education and taught middle school history for 10 years and loved it and thrived in it. And I still can't believe I taught teenagers at the age of 21, but I did. And but I always tell my own children, I'm like, I don't want your book of life to have like 5 chapters. I want it to have like 55 chapters. And so that was just one of my chapters in life. And after having children, I wanted to be at home and teaching did a lot for that. And so I thought, how can I support my family and be at home, with my children? And I came across an opportunity to work for a startup company in which was involved in direct retail brand in which I was in the sales world, right? In which I worked for the startup company and led a team of women in the sales world. And that grew over time. And I ended up leading a team of like over 700 women nationwide.
And it was 700.
Well,
wow.
It grew to be that. It wasn't, I like to say, and some people are like, don't call yourself that, but I didn't know it was going to become that. It was almost like an accidental leader role. Not all 700 women actually worked their full potential. Some of them were hobbyists. Some of them just sold just to get discounts, but
it's a little bit like the travel industry.
yeah. And so, but yeah, my team was large and, I learned how to run a business and manage a business. And, I was very passionate about the business and passionate about earning, an income, but also working with women. And I learned how to be an entrepreneur, but then also everything else that encompassed that is what I became passionate about. Right. And so, that was a chapter that when I look back on it, I was like, that was such an incredible experience, but that was like the next, that was like one of those stepping stools,
Yes.
And so my passion has always been travel. And I cannot believe that it took me to the age of 40 to like start a travel business. Like I look at it, I'm like, how did it take me this long? But the reason why it took me this long is I needed all those other experiences in my life to help me be successful. If I weren't to have been a teacher and taught geography and like traveled the world and lived in those different countries
Middle
that I
school
lived in,
history, right?
yeah, and then if I wouldn't have run a business and managed women and learned how to deal with finances and spreadsheets and selling products and, worked within that environment and that business realm, I wouldn't have known how to run a business. And so I wouldn't have been successful. So it's just amazing how those life circumstances led to this next chapter in my life. And so that is why God had me go through all those different
Yeah,
avenues.
I believe that.
And so yeah, that's why I'm where I am. And uh I started the travel boutique. It's funny how it all just made sense. And once it
Yeah,
made sense, it was like a light bulb went off
yeah.
and or went on, and that was all it took.
That's what I call inspired action, is when it's a hell yes.
Yeah.
And if it's not a hell, sorry, I shouldn't swear, but
No, it was that. It was
I
that.
mean, when it's that, when it's like, oh my gosh, yes. And
Mhm.
and when taking action is like, you don't even think about it. You're taking action, and then you're like, oh wait, I just did that. Oh, I just did that.
Yes.
Where that's inspired action, and motivated action is like working out. It's like you have to like, build yourself up
Right.
and really like, and that is what we don't want people to do when it comes to taking action in their businesses. So I
Right.
love that light bulb moment. Like, and when you really see all the dots connecting in your past, when there's a part of you that's thinking, how are you going to do a travel business when all you did was teach and do this? And it's like, no, wait a minute. This absolutely connects.
Right.
And it's actually prepared me for now this chapter. So it's perfect. Love that.
Mhm.
So you're a special case for our travel MBA program, because you did so well that I think you graduated early. We're not supposed to tell people about people graduating early, but she was just an overachiever. So what do you think? Why do you think you did so well in the program?
Well, I think that my experience in the sales world and dealing with people
Yeah, yeah,
um was significant.
yeah.
Number 1. So people buy you, not what you sell.
Oh, that's a really good tip. Love
And
this one.
so I had been working with people like for like one-on-one, like personal relationships for the past 10 years. And so
Yeah,
I had developed these relationships. People trusted me. They knew
yeah.
what I was about. They knew my character. They knew. And so yes, my clients, but also my teammates, right? And my
Yeah,
networks. And
yeah,
then also the people within the company that I worked with. And then my community, the reputation that I built within, yes, my company. And so I really do feel that over time, the success that I built from the past really did benefit me in this position
yeah,
here. And so now I also am very passionate about travel, and I lived in 3 different countries prior. And so people know that about me. And
yeah,
so it almost, not only was it a light bulb moment for me, it made sense to everybody else in my life.
I love
Like,
that.
well, it's about darn time that you start a travel business, you know? So it literally clicked in everybody else's brain when I started a travel business. So then, when I finally did establish a business, people trusted me and came to me for that. And so, um, therefore, I was able to be trusted. And
Yeah.
so I think, I think that's why I was able to be successful from the beginning. Whereas other people might not step into this role having ever run a business before, right?
Yeah.
And so they have to build up that credibility and that
Mhm.
experience, and that's not a bad thing. Like,
Mhm.
I had to do that with my other job. I walked into my other job and I had to become believable. I had it's kinda like that fake it till you make it kinda thing. Like, I had to, like, step into a role and I had to prove myself. I had to earn credibility, right? I had to earn trust. I had to do all that, you know?
Yes.
It just and I had to do that for 10 years. So it's not that I walked into this and just became successful. No, I did that for 10 years.
You
It's
have
just that
tremendous momentum that
right,
you brought with you, which is
right,
so awesome. And what I love about that is hopefully there's some light bulb moments going on right now with others who are listening that might be in a sales position
correct,
where they've become very successful at sales, but they're not passionate about what they're selling.
right, right,
And I mean, who's not passionate about travel?
right. Yes, right,
And so you are passionate about travel and you have been tremendously successful in a sales role, in a career, and you're ready to transition and marry that passion for travel with your sales acumen. This is a great opportunity. And look what happened to Bryant. She became like the rock star,
mhm.
the head
Yeah,
of the
well, I don't know
class.
about that, but
um, I'm so curious in that first year, even those first 6 months, if you had people who were immediately like, it's about darn time you became a travel advisor, and now they're coming to you to plan travel.
Mhm.
Did you have some kind of perfection paralysis? How did you handle those first inquiries? What were you freaked out, or was it kinda like, "Oh, I got this"?
I mean, this is gonna sound very self-righteous, but I honestly was just ready to just go with it.
Yeah, yeah,
I felt so confident in being a part of GTN that when I did have a question, I just went and asked it and got help. So
right.
it's not like I was alone.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
so if I were alone, I think it
yeah,
would be totally different.
yeah,
Like, I think I would
mm,
feel nervous and like, oh my gosh, what do I do with all this? But I never felt if anything, I felt the jitters and butterflies of just pure excitement, couldn't sleep.
yeah,
It was like, I mean, it was like selling my first product with my old company. Like it might
yeah,
have only cost $19, but I was so excited that I sold the $19 product because I was just excited.
yeah,
But with this, I knew that I had the backing of an entire team network at
yeah,
GTN to
yeah,
where, I mean, I'll never forget my first project that Lisa Fletcher, it was a Saturday morning at the beach, and Lisa Fletcher was on Zoom with me at my condo on Saturday morning with a cup of coffee, and
oh,
I I was, like, so excited, and
yeah.
I was just, like, thrilled working with her and Arthur on Zoom booking my first trip, and I was yes, maybe, like, nervous or whatever, but I wasn't worried I was gonna mess up because I had her right there. I was just like, "Let's
Yeah,
do this?"
yeah,
Um,
I love that.
and so I always felt, like, comforted. It was like having, like,
Yeah,
my people are right here, so no matter what, I'm good.
yeah,
I can just keep on going? And I think that's the whole host agency you got your people, you got your village, you have your partners, like, you're good. Like, just go do.
Yeah.
You got,
Yeah.
you're not alone, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
But I think people underestimate the importance of that when choosing their host or other option. And there's a lot of people who get into the business who don't know that much about the business, which you shouldn't if you haven't been in the business.
yeah.
But there's we definitely see a sense of like, I want to maintain my independence. So I actually think I can set it up myself. I don't need a host.
Oh, no,
And
that's not me. No,
short run,
no, no. Mm-mm.
yeah,
I know when I need, I will never, um, I'm not the kind of person where I am like, I can do it all by myself. Nope. I know that I can do it by myself to a certain extent.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, I will always want the backing of you,
yeah,
100%. The backing of, and that's why I chose GTN, because of the reputation. I knew and trusted the reputation of you, number one, and the partners that
yeah,
coincide. But, and so, because I can't have my clients that them depend on me
yeah,
for all of that, because I'm
yes,
one person. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
So that is what is important. But I think that's not a lot of people understand that. So you
No,
do, when building this business or even entering into this business, you do have to understand the background of it.
yeah,
You have to understand that there's a lot of complexities. So,
so many.
yeah. So, like, that's important to understand before you come in and build a business. Like, you can't just walk in here and build a business. You have to
Mhm.
understand the background of it. And once you understand the background of it and you're confident in that, and you, you then can make the next step and you make a smart decision. To me, you have to make the smart decision because you're dealing with people's investments,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's
And
why.
you said you what you started with is like people buy you. They don't buy the product they're selling. They buy you. And you spent the last prior 10 years, building these relationships with people, and now they're immediately putting their trust in you,
Mhm.
and so that is, like, that's invaluable to you. You
Right,
can't screw that up, like,
right.
it's so important to you to make sure that if they're believing in you, you're going to be putting their money in the right. It is an investment. I agree with you that travel is an investment. It's not an expense. I love that. So let's talk about I think that the three biggest blind spots for people trying to build a business, like a long term, a business with longevity that is lucrative, that is fulfilling, that gives you the flexibility to do what you want, when you want, where you want, how you want, with whom you want. The first is not being clear on how to monetize the business. And by monetize, I mean grow your revenues faster than your expenses. It's that simple. Because in the first 5 years that I did this, my I was growing very slowly, and so my revenues were growing, not very fast, but at least they were growing. But my expenses grew with my revenues, so I was never making a profit. So that's the first blind spot. The second blind spot, and by the way, for blind spot number 1, we believe that the most viable way to do that is to sell luxury because you can increase your transaction size by 8, 10, 15 times. And so you can book a lot less and make a lot more. Second blind spot is building a business. I'm sorry, building a book of business, building your clientele. And that you came in to the business with. And that is awesome. And look at how quickly you succeeded because of it. But if you only had that book of business and you had the blind spot, the first blind spot and the third blind spot, which is how to manage the business, really how to grow it and scale for growth, which means understanding when it's time to delegate, understanding when it's time to hire, understanding when it's time to outsource, knowing how to, put systems and procedures into place. Talk to me a little bit about blind spot number one, the monetization of it. And did you have a moment where something clicked, or were you already, because you were already focused on luxury, maybe you never even struggled with that accidental hobbyist trap that so many people fall into?
You do not want to ask me about number one. If my husband were in this room, he would be like, you do not want to ask her about number one because, oh my God. He's like, all her money goes to travel.
Well, that's the beauty of doing what you do.
I know. Well, the thing is it's funny because I'm not a numbers person.
Yeah.
And my husband is, I'm not. He's like, you could sell cardboard to like a whatever. I'm like, yes, I could. But I had to learn in this business how to, he used to help me in my old business with like a bookkeeper and an accountant and all that. And when I started this business, I was like, okay, this is going to be my business. He's like, I will help you, but you have to learn how to do all this. Like, it's going to be your business. You have to learn. So I was proud of myself, like, in even going up to him in the kitchen and saying, I'm going to start my own business. And he was like, oh, really? Like, really? And I was like, I am. I'm going to do it. And he's like, and what is this business gonna be? and I literally remember where I was in our kitchen. I was like, I'm gonna start my own travel business. And he was like, oh, are you? He didn't doubt me at all. If anything, he was scared because he knew how serious I was. And he looked at me and he was like, do you know what this means? And I was like, what? And he's like, that means you're gonna have to get your own accountant, and you're gonna have to get your bookkeeper, and you're gonna have to get QuickBooks, and you're going to have to do all of this because you're going to have to understand what all of these numbers mean. And I was like, oh no. Oh, no. And so you know what I did? The first year I just kind of winged it with like, okay, I'm just going to, because you have to like learn.
Mm-hmm.
When I mean wing it, I mean, I didn't know what I was going to make.
Right.
Like I just didn't know. Like, you have no idea like who's going to come to you and what you're going to make. And then your commission is different because it's in stages. And anyway, so that first year I was just like, okay, I can do this. Like okay. And then I'll never forget a precious friend at GTN had a conversation with me on a walk one day. She's a numbers person. I am not. And keep in mind, she runs a totally different business than me. And this is the beauty of GTN, y'all, because everybody, like, I love our community. We all have different strengths. And I have a strength that I was able to share with her and encourage her. And she was able to like walk me through the numbers game. And like, she then sat down with me another time, showed me her screen, showed me the breakdown of like how she did numbers, how she broke down this, how she broke down that. And like, I was able to then this year take lessons from her and learn how to then put my business in a spreadsheet in a completely different way. Right.
Yeah.
And so the whole point of this number one question that you're asking me is I'm still learning.
Yes.
Like,
right.
I'm still learning. So I can't even answer the question that you're asking me in a professional way because I am still learning. But Sion is my best friend.
Yes.
It makes me, and Sion, for those of y'all who don't know, it is our system that helps us track our statements and commission and everything. But it is a way for someone who is not a numbers person for me to be able to like track and see like in ways that I've never been able to before. So, like, I feel successful.
You are successful.
I
There's so
know,
many
but
people who, I mean, I stuck my head in the sand for 5 years. The first 5 years, I ran a travel business, and I was a Wall Street analyst, and I still stuck my head in the sand, and I didn't wanna do my numbers or look at them, so you're way ahead of me.
well, I think the thing is, like, I see the numbers, I know the numbers.
Mhm.
I just don't not that I don't care. I do care. I mean, I have to pay for kids' school and things like that. I care, but I love it so much. I'm so passionate about it that I don't do this for money.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, like,
Yeah.
I it's
But
just
if
I
you were not making money, you wouldn't do this properly.
correct.
So you are finding a way to grow your revenues faster than your expenses.
Yes. Yes.
You may not be 100% clear on how you're
Okay.
doing that,
Correct. Correct. Correct.
except that you're and part of the reason why you're not that clear on how to do it is because we've already kind of given you the formula for how to do it, and you're just
That is
following
true.
the formula.
That is true.
Whereas other people would, and it's about as simple as the formula is sell luxury.
Right.
And
Well,
don't take
and I
money in our
will
business to
answer
come your way.
I will answer this. I also have a system in place where when money comes in, it goes right back out into savings. So,
Mhm.
like, I don't see a lot of it on purpose because if I see it, I will spend it. I have a problem with that. So, like, I mean, not really a problem, but like, it's also not my money because I have a business. I have other women that work for me.
Yeah. Mhm.
And
Sure.
so I have to be really careful with that. It's not all my
Mm.
money, you know? And so for me, just because I see money there, it's not mine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
Mhm.
like, for me, it's very different just because I see that number. It's not Bryant's money,
Yeah.
you know? So that's
Well, eventually, but what I love is that it sounds like your number one priority is paying for your kids' education
oh,
with
yeah.
whatever you're generating,
Oh,
as
yeah.
well as covering your own travel, which
Correct.
includes your family's travel.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's, and if you didn't have this business, you
Oh,
would
we
be
would not
tapping somewhere
be
else,
oh, yes.
right?
We would not be 100%. Yeah. I feel like I was kinda casual about that. 100% we would not be traveling, and 100% I pay for my children's schooling. So, yes, yes, like, he supported us. It is a blessing, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the blind spot is not only not being aware of it, but also being in a situation where the cash flow is very different. In other words, cash is not flowing. You know,
Right.
you're generating enough revenue to cover your expenses, and that's it.
Yeah.
You're not able to use the net income to fund something else.
Right.
And that is an awesome vision for you. Like,
Yeah.
that serves your life, your family's life incredibly well. Whereas other people build this business because they're the sole provider,
Mhm.
and they would have a different um clarity. They would have a different vision for how much they want to make and how much they need to make.
Mhm.
Um and it's doable. So either one is doable, but if you follow that, you fall into the accidental hobbyist trap, you wouldn't be able to do what you're doing. You wouldn't be able to do the other one either. So,
No, no. You cannot the accidental hobbyist is not going to afford you any that
yes,
would be very difficult.
yes, yes. And it puts a strain on everything. It's not just you that it puts a strain on. It puts a strain on your relationship,
Mhm.
your family life.
Mhm. Well,
Yes,
you're
I had
working that's where you flip that working you're working harder, not
harder
smarter,
and not smarter.
100%.
Mhm.
'Cause this field, it can run you like that
Oh
hamster
my gosh,
wheel.
yeah. Yeah.
You can always work.
If you're not focused and you're not very clear on what business you're going to take and what business you're not going to take,
Yeah.
you get very transactional, like, oh, that's another booking. I don't want to say no to that. That's another booking.
Mhm.
That it's going to run you into the ground very quickly.
Mhm.
And it's not even quickly. It's like you get to a place where it's not bad enough that you're going to just throw out the baby with the bathwater, because you're still generating some revenue, but it's just not enough to afford anything. So, but you still stay in it before the hope that maybe it'll just be better. It's like that definition of insanity,
Mhm.
doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Right.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm feeling too.
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
So let's go back to the blind spot. So that's blind spot number 1. Blind spot number 2 is just, marketing and building a solid book of business. And um, you, because you worked so hard in a prior endeavor, um, you were able to bring, it was almost like an asset. It was an asset that you kind of brought, which is relationships
Mhm.
with potential travelers. And you brought that to the business. And so that's an awesome thing to have. But I also tell people all the time, because I do this little analysis and I show like mainstream Mary and luxury Lucy. And, mainstream Mary's average transaction size is 5,000. She's making 10%. She's on an 80-20 split. So her average, but maybe she charges $100 service fee. So her average revenue per booking is a whopping $500. And even if she does 100 bookings a year, she's going to make 50 grand a year in revenue. That's not even factoring in her operating expenses. Whereas luxury Lucy, her average transaction size is $40,000. She does half as many bookings a year. She's making 16%, 15% on her luxury $40,000 per booking transactions. Ultimately, her revenue is $250,000 a year, 5 times mainstream Mary's, and she's doing half as many bookings. That's on 50 bookings.
Mhm.
So, there's a reason why I started to talk about this. When I tell people give me the objection, that's great, Meredith. I'm not like Bryant. I don't have
Mhm.
this whole asset that I can bring. I don't know anybody that would spend $40,000 on travel. I don't have that kind of a network. And I say, you know what? That's okay. You can build it, because for a couple of reasons. Number 1, the consumption of luxury travel has grown by leaps and bounds, and it's predicted to grow into the trillions by 2030. And that's really good news for people who are selling luxury travel, because there are not enough luxury travel advisors to actually help. So this opportunity is great. And then secondly, you have to have the right partner relationships, right? So that's what I wanted to talk about with you is, can you talk from your experience about the importance of having really deep vetted relationships with the right partners, specifically luxury partners?
Mm. I love them. I love our partners. You know, um, to me, our partners are like our best friends, because we are putting well, first of all, our job is to be the expert and the client, right? And our partners are obviously the expert in the land. And it's like this perfect little triangle, you know?
Yeah,
And we,
love that.
if we don't have this, then it's not together. And so we have to have this really healthy relationship
Yeah,
in order to have the perfect triangle, because without that, our first of all, our clients don't feel comfortable. And I tell, like, my team and myself, I'm like, our partners, like, we need to they need to be our, like, best friends, like, our best and I wanna know them, I wanna know their face, I wanna know their voice, I don't wanna just know them on email, like, I wanna connect with them, I wanna be if we're close to them within 3 hours, I wanna go have dinner with them, like,
Aw.
because, like, they are gonna be taking care of our prized possessions,
Yeah.
you know? And so, I just think it is so important to foster relationships. They're important people, number 1, but they're also taking care of our important people, you know?
Yeah.
And, they're also people.
Yeah.
And
There are also people.
doing
Yeah.
they're doing really important work, and they're in the service industry, and they deserve to be respected and loved, and
Mm.
we're all in this together, you know? And so, I also find it, like, typically, people that work in an industry like this are people, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
And I enjoy being around I keep saying the word people, but I enjoy being around people, and I enjoy working with people. And if you're in that industry, it makes your job fun, you know? And so,
Yes.
like, if when you, like, to me, like, I think of people who do not enjoy the work that they do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "I don't know how they do that." Like,
I don't either.
how do you just not, you know? But, like, we get to work with the coolest,
Absolutely.
and we get to work with people in Morocco, in Italy, in
I
Spain,
know.
in
I
Egypt.
know.
Who
I know.
what in the world? We get to work with people
So
around the
amazing.
world, you know?
Yeah.
And no
And
offense,
they're almost always like they're dynamic, they're charming, they're fun to
right?
be around,
Like,
they're fun to hang out with.
what not to put down other fields, but,
Yeah.
like, what other fields do you get to work with people around the world every day?
Around the world.
You know?
And enjoying the luxury of those places. You know
Yes!
what I mean? Not
Yeah,
just, going to China and then being inside a building in a factory all day long. We're talking about getting out on yachts and having champagne toasts and seeing the most beautiful hotels and learning about new hotels that are opening and learning the history of the hotel and what it used to be um and what you're speaking to specific, I think, is an industry term called a DMC, or destination management company. And so when you do shift into selling luxury, I think a lot of people think that selling luxury is just selling like five-star cruise lines or five-star hotels. And there's so much more to
yeah,
planning luxury travel.
yeah,
And the luxury travel advisor's secret weapon is a DMC and
mhm,
the relationship you develop. And because the traveler doesn't have access to that DMC, and the DMC's sole purpose in life is to be the travel advisor's travel advisor, right? Like
mhm,
they're basically the travel agent or the luxury travel agent. And like you said, they know the product. It's like they have the menu of, think about, you go to a restaurant you've never been before. And what would you do if you sat down in the restaurant and the chef came out and said, "What would you like me to make you?" I'm a Michelin Michelin star chef. And so I can make incredible things, but like he's not giving you an idea of what he can make. So the DMC gives us menu items, gives us ideas, gives us like they can do anything and everything, but we have to have a starting point. But if all they have is the menu, and they're trying to plan travel for your client and they know nothing about the client's not going to get the best trip. And so I love what you just said. It's like you're the expert on the client. So you get to communicate to the DMC all the things that the client is passionate about, what they've done before, how many people, what their accommodations, what needs to be accommodated in their party. Um, and 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 when they get that flavor, then they can create something that nobody else can create. And that is totally unbookable online, right? I mean, and so you shine and your client gets a better experience and the DMC stays in business because they're doing their job. So
Right.
it's a beautiful relationship. But I think what you said is so valuable. It's like you're the expert on the client, they're the expert on the travel experiences available in that destination or group of destinations. And you don't really use DMCs if you're not selling luxury travel because they do tend to be higher dollar amounts because it's all private. It's
Right.
all private stuff.
Well, and even if you don't use a DMC, let's say you're working with just even a hotel or
Yes.
like a cruise line, like whoever, even in that case, it's still relationships, right? And it's
Mhm.
still servicing other people,
Yes.
right? And you're still like yesterday, I was talking to Dottie, like we're dealing with the river cruise, right? And like Dottie's like my right hand lady, Dottie and I are like, she's my friend. And, you know, I love the relationships that we have built, because I say our agency in a and like I say this because my clients know from the excitement that I have.
Yeah.
I think this is important. I'm getting off on a tangent here, but I think this is important that when you're building a business, that your clients understand the joy that you have in taking care of them. So, like,
Yeah.
my clients know that I'm so excited to take care of them, and then,
Yeah.
like, my girl Dottie knows that I'm so excited to take care of my clients, and so then Dottie gets excited to take
Yes.
and then it's
Yes.
just this, it's just
Yes.
fun, and that's my
Yeah.
job, you
Yeah.
know?
And, y- you can say, yeah, well, if it's not that hard to sell a river cruise, but you do need, I mean, there's so many nuances. There are so many nuances. And not to mention that if you're not in the travel industry, you only think there's one river cruise line.
No, they're not. Ah,
There are lots of great river cruise lines, many options beyond the one. And and within the other options, there's different cabin categories or nuances with different itineraries, different times a year. And, you don't know. And so you need to be able to pick up the phone and call Dottie and be like, my client's looking at this itinerary and this one. This is what they love. This is what they've done before. Do you have a recommendation? Should I be, encouraging them to go one direction or the other? So I love that. I love that. Have you had any kind of good experiences with the hotel elite programs? Because that's also something that I think you don't know what you don't know.
oh, yeah.
And we didn't know this. We as a host agency didn't get into the luxury game fully until we joined Virtuoso in 2019.
Mhm.
And then we started, bringing on all the hotel elite programs, and what a game changer that is. Do you have an experience with that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, do I name? Do
Yeah,
I,
you
like
can name.
um,
Absolutely.
well, but okay, instead of naming, I will just say, and I will name, but I will say coming into this, it's kind of overwhelming because
Yes.
there are so many. There are so
Yes.
many There's so many hotels, right? And so I was a little bit intimidated with the idea of the vast array of like hotels and like there's the Four Seasons and the Rosewood and the Bellwood and the Hyatts and the Marriotts and the all of them, right?
Carlton's.
All of it. There's so many. But what I love is it's a friendly competition
Yeah.
in this realm of luxury.
5-star hotels. Yeah.
Yes. And I like that because and I mean this in a really this is important to me because the business world can get nasty.
Yes. Yeah.
I have not felt that.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't felt like any type of like, it's a friendly, competitive arena, I will say. And so, I've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed, exploring and learning the differences in the brands,
Yeah.
which has been interesting to me because I didn't grow up, like, staying at Four Seasons. It's just like, I didn't grow up that way.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I grew up staying at Hampton Inns watching my sister play soccer in Atlanta, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't grow up that way. So, it's been, it's been really interesting for me from a learning standpoint to go and immerse myself in this field and to learn the differences because there
Yeah.
are differences, right?
There are. And your client is not going to like every single line.
Yes. And that
Right?
is so
You want to
important.
match the client with the right
Yeah.
hotel line or few. I mean, there might be a handful of them that they would match
Yes.
with. But
Yes.
they're not going to match with every single one.
No. No.
Yeah.
And but I think what I've also learned is the consistency of the preferred partner brands is
Yeah.
really cool. And so, and then I love the relationship partnerships as well. Like I was just out with Brittany's app out in Dallas, with Four Seasons. And so okay, I have to tell whoever's listening, I'm from Mobile, Alabama. And so no one comes here. Like no one, there's no travel events here. So I have to like get on a plane to like go to travel events. Yeah. Kristen is in Dallas, so I got on a plane to go to the Four Seasons event in Dallas because no one comes here. So it was my first time
There's
to
not a
go.
Four Seasons in Mobile, Alabama.
No, nowhere near, not even within driving distance. But I learned a lot. That was my first time to go to something like that. And I've been
Yeah.
in the business for a bit, you know?
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it because to me, I'm in this whole, even just with like partnerships and hotel preferred partners, like you're always learning. You're
Yeah.
always meeting people. You're always being exposed to new places.
Yep.
And
Right.
it's so fun. So
It's so fun. But it's also, what I want to highlight is you wouldn't get that invite. You wouldn't be able to get on a plane and go to that Four Seasons event if your host didn't have the right relationship with Four Seasons.
oh no. No. Not at
So that's what I'm trying to help people understand is when you're making that decision of who to partner with, who you're going to host with, you really need to think it through. Don't make it in haste and don't be short-sighted because those relationships and being able to go to an event like that where you learn about things that you never would have learned about if had you gone to the event, and then you end up having a conversation the very next day with a client who's asking about something and you're like, oh, wait a minute, I just remembered I talked to Brittany about Four Seasons opening up in so-and-so, and that might be the perfect fit for you, and you wouldn't have known about that. And so so going back to the point I tried to make a while ago is if you don't have that book of business, you absolutely can build it as long as you focus on luxury, you're committed to it and believe in it and understand that there's a lot more people who have that demand for luxury travel, and you've got the right relationships.
In
Your
place.
or who you're hosting with has the right relationships, because those relationships open doors for you, and then you can open doors for your clients that you wouldn't be able to do without them.
Mhm.
So I love your enthusiasm for it and everything. I just love it so much. I want to like bottle it up and give it to everybody.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you.
This profession
Yes.
definitely draws women.
Mhm.
And I know that this is a fantastic career path for a mom, being a mom. I did it myself. And we have so many advisors in our network that are doing it themselves too. How do you feel about it as a career path and with where you are on your motherhood journey?
I mean, well, first of all, the flexibility is incredible. Um, I mean, I wake up, a lot of my business is international. So I wake up, I am an early bird and I love my mornings. So I do wake up very early in the morning and I get work done before I wake up my kids, on purpose.
Yeah.
Um, so that is my determination and that makes me feel accomplished before
Yeah.
I get the day going with my children.
Yeah.
But it also, it helps me be like clear my mind and helps me be present to my children, because if not, then my mind is cluttered when I go to
Yes.
pick them up. You know what I mean? Because I know that I have a lot up
Yeah.
here. And
Yeah.
also, if you think about it, it's 7 hours ahead for the most part.
Hmm?
I wake up, I have my devotional time, finish that, then I open my computer, I get all my initial work, emails, everything out, and then I wake up the kids at 6 and I have my 6 to 7:30 time with
Yeah.
them. And
And you can be so present for them. I
oh,
love
yeah,
this.
I don't even look at my phone or computer for an hour and a
Yeah,
half.
I love
Yeah.
this.
And then I get to school, drop them off, say goodbye, come back home, and then everybody's responded to me,
Yeah, I
you
love
know?
that.
Yeah, because there's no way that I could start my day at 7:30. That's not
Mm.
effective, because
Yeah,
then I have really only 3 hours of, that's no bueno.
yeah,
Like, then my partners go home in 3 hours, and that's not
yeah,
effective.
right.
Um, and so, time management is a real important thing. And that is something that I learned in my previous job. Like, that is necessary with
Yeah,
children. And so, now also with children, what I've also learned is in the seasons of the seasons of travel that are very intense, like January, for example, is an intense month. Um, and so there are times in which I have to tell my family and my husband, like, I sometimes will have to have a power day in
yeah,
which, like, okay, this is my power day. I'm going to have to escape. And
yeah,
so I might not, I might not show my face. So, Wednesday, I'm not picking up from school. I love y'all. I'll tuck you in and I'll
love
see you
these.
at 8 o'clock at night, but it's one day. And
Yeah,
so I will take them to school and I will work maybe from 8 to 8, and that's a power day. And that is just a power day for me because I'm overwhelmed or I know it's an intense week and I just have to buckle down and have a power day, you know? And it's not that I'm mismanaging my time or, you know,
yeah. No,
just
I love it.
just that I need a power day during an intense period of time,
And if
right?
you were working like a corporate job, 9 to 5, every day would be a birthday.
Right, right, and some
So
seasons
you have one every
just
once in a while.
yeah, and sometimes you just need that,
Yeah. Mhm.
but
Yeah,
time management is really very important to me,
yeah.
to establish, but the flexibility, like the fact that I'm able to work during the day, but like this morning, my child had a performance at school. Well, guess what? I was able to go,
Yeah, I love that.
like the
And you're driving
flexibility.
them to school every single day. You're picking them up
Yes.
from school
Yeah.
every single day.
And, I was gone for 10 days, you know, last whatever week, and my little girl was like, "Mommy, I just missed you so much." And I'm like, "I
Oh,
know, and I missed you too, but guess what? I'm also able to be present to you every single day. Like
yeah.
every single day I'm present to you.
Yeah,
Every single day. Like what a gift, you
I
know?
know.
But yes, mommy went on a trip and I was able to go and work and feel, and I was able to go do something that I took a small women's group over to Italy, and I was able to do something that I'm very passionate about. And I came back home and I'm present to you every day now, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, I know you have to go because you are a mom, and
and I've
it's
got
time for
purple.
you to go get purple.
Right. That's
So
right.
I will end this conversation here, because you are turning. My sister used to say, "I'm turning into a pumpkin now."
Oh, you're fine. You're
I'm
fine.
turning
I
into mom
enjoyed
milk.
it much. I enjoyed it.
I
Thank
enjoyed
you
it too.
for having
Thank
me.
you. Thank you so much. And if anybody is curious about finding you and maybe having you help them plan their travel for them, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, I'm at thetravelboutique.net or the travel boutique _ on Instagram.
Nice. I love it. Yes, follow her on Instagram. It's amazing. Thanks for listening to the Travel Business Unpacked podcast, where we dive deep into the exciting world of travel entrepreneurship. If you're looking for more, we have some great resources for both aspiring travel entrepreneurs and existing travel advisors. Aspiring travel entrepreneurs, if you're thinking about turning your love for travel into a profitable business and enviable life, take our Travel Entrepreneurial Suitability Score quiz. It's fun and insightful. Just go to travelmba.giftedtravelnetwork.com. Find out if you're ready to professionalize your passion for travel. Current travel advisors. If you've been selling travel but haven't been able to grow your sales beyond $200,000 in a 12-month window of time, our quiz can help there too. Again, you can find that at travelmba.giftedtravelnetwork.com. Advisors looking for a change. If you're seeking an elevated hosting experience for the luxury travel advisor, check us out at giftedtravelnetwork.com. We'd love to chat with you. And with that, we wrap up today's journey. We hope we inspired you today, or at a minimum, put a smile on your face.